And what you gonna do? Oh yeah!
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hey yo!
I will give you a show like you have never, ever seen before. Why? Because I can.
The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be!
Rob Van Dam.
Give me a hell yeah!
Viva la raza!
It's been said there are people that can do, and those who can't do, teach, and those who can't teach, manage. What's funny about that is the vital role of the manager in wrestling has always been very apparent. From legendary personalities like Bobby the Brain Heenan, Captain Lou Albano, Classy Freddie Blassie, among others. Then comes Paul Bearer. Paul began his career as Percy Pringle. Yes, that's right, Percy Pringle. And he was a unique one. And later became Paul Bearer, coming out with the now infamous Undertaker. Now, when I look back upon wrestling, I have to wonder, why was the Undertaker given a manager? Was it that they didn't quite know where the character was going? Were they not comfortable with the direction? I'm not really sure. I mean, I will say this much. Paul at least brought in some necessary factor. And his voice was annoying. But, you know. Anyway. I was in my local Walmart, found this chase version of Paul Bearer, which looks to be a little bit later in his career, kind of when, you know, his hair had kind of lightened up, and yeah, he wasn't quite the dark mortician that he had been before. The figure itself, it's actually all right. And I can't say I was a huge fan of Paul Bearers, but I didn't hate him. You know, he was kind of amusing at times, but still not one of my favorite managers of all time either. But this chase version, like I said, it looks to be a little bit different than the all in black version. And he's got the wide eyes, which was a staple of Paul Bearer. Now, it looks a little weird because this one doesn't have the makeup kind of darkening out around his eyes. So, yeah. And I don't recall Paul Bearer really pulling the wide eyes as much in this iteration. But then again, this is a repaint, so yeah. He's got kind of a robust body, which fits Paul Bearer all day long. And of course, that's going to limit his articulation, which is odd. But at the same time, it's not like Paul Bearer was Spider-Man. I don't think I ever saw Paul ever do an athletic move, ever. So, I guess you can say this works for the character he's representing. He comes with the ever-loving urn. Did we ever find out what was in the urn? No, we didn't. We speculated for years. We never found out what was in the urn. And he can't really hold it very well. He's got these funky kind of pointing hands and the regular flat hands you can kind of hold the urn with. But it's very precarious and will fall very easily. In fact, setting up a couple of shots, it just fell out of his hand all the time. And, you know, it's kind of like, It's fun to have Paul Bearer in the collection, but he's not one that was high on my list. If I had not run into him in the store, I probably wouldn't have tried, honestly, because he was never a favorite of mine. He was always just kind of a guy, and that was it. And not that there's anything wrong with being a manager or a guy. I just never really think much about him for action figures, you know. Managers are usually there to get knocked down. And, yeah, I did buy a Freddie Blassie, and I did buy that Weasel, Bobby the Brain Heenan, so maybe I'm sounding like a hypocrite right now. But those two were really awesome. Past those two, I didn't really want to get too far into managers, but then I saw Paul Bearer in the store, and I just went, yeah, let me grab this guy. He's kind of cool. He has a really gigantic urn, too. I guess that's to give to Undertaker to whack somebody in the head with? I don't know. I kind of vaguely remember there's something being with the giant urn, and my memory's faded, and I don't feel like going to research it. But yeah, there was something with a giant urn at some point. I just can't remember it now. And of course, he has the typical grasping hands. So, you know, not a bad figure. Again, keeping in mind of who he is and what he's representing. Because this is not a wrestler, this is a manager. A manager who, you know, not as mobile as the one he managed. Again, a fun personality, though. I mean, he was noticeable and he did make an impact. So, as always, you can't say that people didn't know Paul Bearer. I mean, people cheered when he came back every time. So, it was interesting. There was always that weird one with the Dudley Boys when Undertaker killed Paul Bearer. It was weird. It never made any sense. I didn't understand it, and I don't think anybody understood it. And I think that's why people ignored it. It just never made any sense. One little detail I noticed while I was taking pictures was there's a little gold right here on the tie. That's a nice touch. I like that. And that seems like that does match what he was wearing at that point in his career, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a long time since I watched those episodes. And, you know, Paul Bearer, I mean, just like The Undertaker, is not my favorite. I don't hate either one. I just don't. They're not my favorite. So I'm not going to buy every iteration of either character. But, you know, I did buy one Undertaker, so I thought, I should have a Paul Bearer somewhere around. You know, just on the sidelines to be an annoyance. Sadly, that's about all he's good for, is to be an annoyance. But that's about what all managers are good for. So there is always that. I do like the figure. I like having it. And it's just a fun little addition to add in and go, look, there's an action figure of Paul Bearer as well as Undertaker. That didn't happen in the olden days. They wouldn't waste the time or energy. So that's kind of funny. Does that mean that Mattel's becoming a little creatively bankrupt? No, it just means they're just adding stuff in and just seeing what sticks. And I'm all for that. You never know. I mean, I know there's a Jimmy Hart coming out soon, and I'm not really too enamored by that one. I'm just going to leave it alone. You know, that's just me. And, you know, I don't think maybe if they do a regular Bobby the Brain Heenan, again, an updated one, I might grab that, but that's about the limitation of my managers. So, yeah, there's a bit of a showcase of Paul Bearer. And of course, the most ridiculous name. You gotta love it. Of course, Percy Pringle isn't much better, right? Yeah, but anyway, that's pretty much a showcase of the new addition to my wrestling collection. Thank you for watching Saturday Night's Wrestling. Don't forget to ring that bell. And wow, that wait a minute, that's a YouTube thing. Yeah, ring the bell, subscribe, Yeah, sorry guys, really terrible at these taglines. Take care.